Hi guys, and welcome back to this tutorial. So again, in the previous section what we have done is that we have created different colored boxes, so yellow, green and red, and we've grouped them using an empty object. So again, so in this example for instance, you can see that you have three different boxes that are children of the object called staircase, which is by the way an empty object. So in this case the staircase object acts as a folder basically for the different elements that you put within, which are the three boxes. What we have also is a first person controller. So again, we have used this first person controller to navigate the scene. And what I'd like to do right now is to introduce you to a different type of controller, which is a third person controller. So again, if you go to the standard assets, you should have a folder that is called characters. Inside this character, so far we have used the first person character folder, but for now we'll use the third person character. So third person character. So again, double click. And if you go to the prefab, you should have something called third person controller. So I'm going to take this one and drag and drop it right there. Because we are not going to use the first person controller straight away, as we already have a third person controller, we're going to deactivate this one. So again, you can tick or untick this box, which means that this character will not be accounted for in the scene, although you can reactivate it later on. Okay, and the next thing I need to do is my camera for now, you see, is looking from above, and what I'd like to do is to be able to see my character from closer. So what I will do is quite simple. I'm gonna move my camera closer, maybe to the ground here, and then remove the rotation. And again, from the scene, where is my camera? I should be able to rotate it. So again, I'm gonna use the oh yes, the camera is there, so I'm going to bring it closer, and as you can see it's right there. So I'm going to do is move it here and rotate it around the green axis there. So that's basically looking at looking at the staircase. That's it. Okay, so again my camera is looking at the staircase, and again, so as my character goes on the staircase I should be able to see it. Okay, so I'm going to play the scene, and now basically what I should have is play again. What I should have is my character, my third person controller, and again, oh sorry, you know what I've done? I've actually deactivated the third person controller, not the actual first person controller. So again, take this one, deselect, and then again go back to this guy there. Okay, so at this stage my first person controller should be deactivated and my third person controller is activated. Okay, so I'm going to play the scene again, and now what I should see is my third person controller in front of my camera. So again, if I play the scene whenever it's played, okay, and actually I've deactivated the main camera again, so again activated, those things can happen. And again, if I play my scene, now I should be okay. So you can see that I can move my character if I press on, so you're gonna have to click first on this scene, and I can use the arrow keys to move my character. Okay, so again, this seems to work relatively well. The only thing is that if I move around and go a bit further, you can see that my camera is not following my character, which is a bit, which is not exactly practical if you want to create a game where you want to follow the character. So one of the solutions for this is to use a different type of camera. Okay, and again, if you look at so again, what I will do is deactivate my camera to start with, and introduce a new type of camera. So again, if you get to the standard assets, cameras, prefabs, there are two that are of interest to us. The one called free look camera rig and the one called multi-purpose camera rig. So again, one of them is always making sure it is behind the character. So again, I'm going to take one of them, so free look camera rig, and drag and drop it. It doesn't really matter where you drop it because it will always keep track of the player anyway, so it will move accordingly later on. As I introduce this camera, you should see that now in the inspector window you have an empty field called target. So again, this field is basically the target for the camera. So what should it follow? In our case, it's going to be the third person controller. So I'm going to take this third person controller and again make sure that it is now in the field called target. So effectively I'm telling the system that this camera should target or follow the third person controller. Okay, so again I'm going to play the scene again, and now what should happen is that this camera should follow my character. So again, you can see that my character is there, and as I move around, it will actually follow my character, which is exactly what I need. Okay, so again, this is working relatively well. Now there are a few collision issues sometimes with this character, but again, my camera is following my character, which is great. Okay, so again, just to summarize a small bit, we are now using a third-person controller, which is right there. I have deactivated the first-person controller because we don't need it yet or anymore. And again, I've used a different type of camera, which is included in the standard asset, which is called a free-look camera rig. If you want, for your own purpose, you can always try to use the multi-purpose camera rig. It's quite similar as well. Okay, so that's it. And again, so far we've made some good progress creating this staircase and also adding a first-person controller and a third-person controller. So again, well done so far, and we'll be looking at more features in the next few tutorials.